Welcome to Coffee and Cash Flow. In this series, we sit down for coffee with real estate investors who are working towards financial freedom, one income property at a time. If you are a real estate investor or aspiring to become a real estate investor, this show is for you. Today we have a special guest here. His name is Jimmy Murray with Lion Property Management. He has over 400 units under management right now. Jimmy, how many units do you have under management?
We're at 483.
483.
So approaching 500 quickly.
So we have an awesome guest here today, and we're going to talk about iBuyer companies and how they're going to, impact real estate investors, whether you're looking to wholesale, buy and hold, or fix and flip. And Jimmy's going to give us his perspective on how these companies are going to impact real estate investing moving into the future. So Jimmy, let's dive right into it.
Good stuff. So I think that iBuyer companies will definitely have an impact on smaller investors because I think that those style of companies aren't well versed in the typical cap rates that properties trade at in our local market. So like where you or I may want to buy in a neighborhood at a 7 or 8% cap rate on a multifamily investment, these companies may be accustomed to much lower cap rates at like a 5 or 6% rate of return, which is going to artificially inflate prices. So I think that's where it'll start to hurt small real estate investors. There will still be opportunities out there, but I think it's more of like the off-market handshake type of deals. Like Chris has a property that he wants to sell and he comes to me and I'm like, okay, that's a good deal. Like, let me buy into it. So I would say try to build those relationships off-market because I think the on-market stuff is going to be tackled by these iBuyers.
You think so? Okay. So you think more or less the stuff that's on market is going to have lower margins?
I think so. And that's kind of what we've seen with investors coming down into the Rhode Island market from Boston. So A lot of Boston investors, they're used to significantly lower cap rates on the properties that they buy. I mean, Boston is probably trading at a negative cap rate from some of the Asian money that's come in because they're factoring in capital appreciation rather than cash flow. So I priced a property this morning in Coventry, Rhode Island, which I thought was a good deal, and it turned out that it wasn't as great as I thought it was. Just because with the retail market out there and house hacking being so popular and just real estate investing being sexy, I think it's really driving down the rate of return because people just want to get it, and they're not really focused on the underlying numbers in order to have or achieve a successful investment.
Okay, that makes sense. And now, what is your take on these bigger companies that are coming in and buying single-family homes in the masses for like portfolios? Do you think they're going to impact the market in any way?
So I think probably less of an impact in our local area, but I think kind of the tailwind or the headwind that we don't see yet are the homes coming out of forbearance. I think that a lot of properties are still in forbearance, and I don't know the exact numbers, but kind of the rumblings that I've heard, I think that could have an impact on inventory as well, because you're starting to see the inventory come back. There are a lot of people that are looking at prices saying, I want to sell my house, but they don't know the next house they're going to move into.
That's probably.
So you haven't seen those upgrades,
yes,
right, in terms of scaling. So I think there's a lot of pent-up demand in the system, and people are trying to start figuring it out. I mean, we've seen the retail numbers in Rhode Island come up here recently.
Yes.
In the last 6 months, I think inventory has just about doubled, which is excellent. But it's been very interesting segment of the cycle.
It has. And do you think that these bigger iBuyer companies are going to be more dominant in different markets, say Arizona, Florida, what else would be it? What is Tennessee? There's different markets that are really kind of blossoming right now. Do you think that they're going to focus more on that?
I think they're going to look at like more macro numbers, so where the population is moving. Rhode Island's population has really remained stagnant.
It has.
And then, if I was an iBuyer, I would chase the larger companies that are going to allocate a ton of capital, like multi-million dollars worth of capital. I would chase where the large companies are going, right? So where's Amazon moving to? Where's Tesla moving to, right? So maybe the Dallas-Fort Worth area, anywhere in Texas, Florida. Figure out where the population is moving, figure out where the job growth is, and I think that those are the single-family houses that they're going to chase after.
That makes sense. And now, in your opinion, these iBuyer companies, their margins are really thin. Do you see them, basically holding, waiting for some appreciation, and then taking an exit, or do you think that they're looking to hold for more long-term cash flow?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Right.
You're not sure about
that? I think that's one of the best things I've probably done in real estate. I try not to punt on a lot of questions, but I think just being honest when you're not sure. I think that it's going to be driven by the fund manager, right?
Yes.
So whatever their long-term strategy is, it could be different across different funds and
different portfolio
managers and markets, right? So it could be very market specific. Honestly, I don't know how much more of a run we have in this market. We've got a ton of fuel in the fire in terms of easy monetary policies, and cheap interest rates, and lack of inventory. So you get everyone pouring gasoline on the fire from all different angles. So we'll see how far of a run we have. I'm not saying that the market's going to turn tomorrow. I've heard a lot of rumblings that the market has slowed down. I think that buyers are just getting tired, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. And the inventory is creeping up a little bit, locally, and and every market's different. So people that watch this, they might be in Arizona, they might be in Florida, and the market still might be on fire.
Florida's on fire.
I know, I've heard.
Not because it's hot and we're in the middle of August, right? But yeah, all good stuff.
All good stuff. So, all right. So, long term, just to conclude, you think that's iBuyer companies, they might thin the margins a little bit, but they're not going to really hurt real estate investors as a whole.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So, thanks so much for tuning in, and we have more videos coming your way. Thanks so much.